Deep in the heart of Peru, there are places so extraordinary that they make Machu Picchu look like just the beginning of an incredible story. While millions flock to see the famous citadel, they're missing ancient cities carved into impossible cliffs, underground temples that predate the Incas by thousands of years, and treasures so magnificent that Spanish conquistadors spent centuries searching for them. Today, we're going beyond the postcard to discover Peru's most breathtaking hidden wonders. Places where ancient civilizations achieved the impossible, where nature and human ingenuity created masterpieces that still baffle scientists today. From floating islands that have existed for over 1,000 years to rainbow mountains that look like they belong on another planet, Peru holds secrets that will completely change how you see this incredible country. Peru isn't just the land of the Incas. It's a country where over 3,000 years of advanced civilizations have left their mark across some of the most diverse and dramatic landscapes on Earth. Stretching from the Amazon rainforest to the towering Andes Mountains and down to the mysterious Nazca Desert, Peru encompasses 3 distinct geographical regions that each harbor their own ancient mysteries. The Inca Empire, which lasted only about 100 years before Spanish conquest, was actually the final chapter in a story that includes the Nazca, Moche, Chachapoya, and dozens of other sophisticated cultures. These civilizations mastered engineering feats that modern technology struggles to replicate, built cities in locations that seem impossible, and created art and architecture that continues to mystify archaeologists. What makes Peru truly extraordinary is that while Machu Picchu gets all the attention, it represents less than 1% of the country's archaeological treasures, most of which remain hidden, unexplored, or completely unknown to the outside world. High in the cloud forests of northern Peru, at an altitude of 3,000 meters, stands one of South America's most impressive archaeological sites that barely anyone knows exists. Kuelap, the massive stone fortress of the Chachapoya people, is often called the Machu Picchu of the North. But this comparison doesn't do it justice. Built between 900 and 1100 AD, Kuelap is actually 3 times older than Machu Picchu and contains 3 times more stone. The fortress stretches for 600 meters along a mountain ridge, with walls that rise up to 19 meters high, taller than a 6-story building. What makes Kuelap truly extraordinary is its construction. Over 40 million cubic feet of limestone blocks, each weighing several tons, were somehow transported up nearly vertical mountain slopes and fitted together with precision that rivals any Inca construction. The Chachapoya, known as the Cloud Warriors for their fierce resistance to Inca conquest, built this citadel to house over 3,000 people in more than 400 circular stone houses. But here's where Kuelap becomes truly mysterious. The fortress has only 3 narrow entrances, each designed as a funnel that becomes progressively narrower, forcing any invader to enter single file. These entrances are so ingeniously designed that they could be defended by just a few warriors against an entire army. Inside, archaeologists have discovered intricate stone carvings, including serpent and jaguar motifs that suggest connections to Amazon cultures, and burial chambers containing mummies wrapped in elaborate textiles that have survived for over 1,000 years. The most haunting discovery at Kuelap is the Tintero, a mysterious inverted cone-shaped structure that plunges 5.5 meters into the ground. No one knows its purpose, but theories range from a ceremonial chamber to an astronomical observatory. What we do know is that the Chachapoya possessed knowledge of engineering and astronomy that allowed them to create one of the most sophisticated fortress cities in the Americas, hidden in clouds at an altitude where most people struggle to breathe. In the arid plains of southern Peru lies one of archaeology's greatest mysteries, the Nazca Lines. These aren't just simple drawings in the sand. They're massive geoglyphs that cover an area of nearly 1,000 square kilometers, created by removing the dark surface stones to reveal the lighter earth beneath. What makes them truly extraordinary is their scale and precision. Some lines stretch for over 30 kilometers in perfectly straight paths, while the animal figures are so large they can only be fully appreciated from the air. The Nazca people created these lines between 500 BC and 500 AD, but here's what's truly mind-boggling. They had no way to see their creations from above, yet they achieved geometric precision that would be challenging even with modern surveying equipment. The hummingbird geoglyph measures 93 meters long, the spider is 47 meters, and the monkey stretches for 135 meters. These aren't crude drawings. They're executed with mathematical precision that suggests advanced knowledge of geometry and surveying techniques. But the mystery deepens when you consider the purpose. Some lines point to astronomical events, aligning with solstices and the rising of certain constellations. Others seem to follow underground water sources in this desert region, where rainfall averages less than 4 millimeters per year. Recent discoveries using satellite technology have revealed over 140 new geoglyphs, including human figures and complex geometric patterns that were invisible from ground level. The preservation of the Nazca Lines is itself miraculous. The desert's unique climate, one of the driest places on Earth with minimal wind and stable temperatures, has kept these ancient messages intact for over 1,500 years. Walking among them today, you're literally following paths created by people who lived when the Roman Empire was at its height. Yet their artistic and engineering achievements in this harsh desert environment rival anything created in the ancient world. At 3,812 meters above sea level, Lake Titicaca is the world's highest navigable lake. But what makes it truly extraordinary are the floating islands created entirely from totora reeds by the Uros people. These aren't tourist attractions. They're living communities where families have maintained the same lifestyle for over 1,000 years, creating and maintaining islands that literally float on the lake's surface. Each island is a masterpiece of indigenous engineering. The Uros harvest totora reeds from the lake shallows, then weave them into thick mats that can support entire families, their homes, and even their livestock. The largest islands measure up to 100 meters long and house up to 10 families, complete with schools, churches, and even solar panels for modern conveniences. But here's the remarkable part. These islands are constantly decomposing from below while being rebuilt from above, requiring the addition of fresh reed layers every few weeks. The Uros people originally took to the water to escape conflicts with the Incas, and later, the Spanish conquistadors. What began as a survival strategy became a unique culture perfectly adapted to life on the water. They build everything from totora reeds, their boats, houses, furniture, and even toys for children. The reeds are also edible and medicinal, providing both nutrition and natural remedies for common ailments. Living on Lake Titicaca requires intimate knowledge of weather patterns, water levels, and reed growth cycles. The Uros can predict storms hours in advance by reading subtle changes in wave patterns and wind direction. Their traditional boats, called balsas, are so perfectly designed for the lake's conditions that they can navigate safely in weather that would challenge modern vessels. Today, about 2,000 Uros people continue this extraordinary lifestyle, maintaining a culture that represents one of humanity's most remarkable adaptations to a challenging environment. Just outside Cusco stands Sacsayhuamán, a fortress so impressive that Spanish conquistadors believed it could only have been built by demons. This massive complex covers over 3,000 hectares and contains some of the largest stones ever used in construction. The biggest weighs an estimated 200 tons, equivalent to about 40 elephants. But size isn't what makes Sacsayhuamán truly extraordinary. It's the precision with which these massive blocks were cut and fitted together. The stones at Sacsayhuamán are cut with such accuracy that you cannot slide a knife blade between them, despite the fact that many have 12 or more angles and fit together like a three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle. This level of precision would be challenging to achieve today with modern tools and machinery. Yet the Incas accomplished it using only bronze tools, stone hammers, and wooden levers. The fortress walls zigzag across the hillside in a pattern that not only provides defensive advantages, but also helps the structure withstand the frequent earthquakes that shake this region. Archaeological evidence suggests that Sacsayhuamán took over 70 years to build and required the labor of 20,000 workers. The logistics alone are staggering. The massive stones were quarried from sites up to 35 kilometers away, then somehow transported across rivers and up steep mountain slopes to the construction site. Recent experiments have shown that moving just one of the largest stones would require the coordinated effort of over 2,000 people using ropes, ramps, and rollers. But Sacsayhuamán wasn't just a fortress. It was a sacred complex that served multiple functions. The three main terraces represent the three worlds of Inca cosmology: the underworld, the earthly world, and the heavens. Underground chambers and tunnels connect different parts of the complex, and some passages allegedly extend all the way to Cusco's main temple, though many of these tunnels remain unexplored due to safety concerns. Hidden high in the Andes at an altitude of 5,200 meters lies one of Peru's most spectacular natural wonders, Vinicunca, the Rainbow Mountain. This geological masterpiece displays bands of red, yellow, green, and purple that stripe across the mountainside like a natural work of art. What makes these colors even more remarkable is that they were hidden under snow and ice for centuries, only becoming visible in recent years due to climate change melting the glacial cover. The rainbow colors are created by different mineral deposits laid down over millions of years. The red stripes come from iron oxide, the yellow from iron sulfide, the green from chlorite, and the purple from a combination of clay and oxidized limonite. These sedimentary layers were formed when this region was covered by ancient seas, then pushed upward during the formation of the Andes Mountains. The result is a natural geological timeline that spans over 65 million years, visible in stunning technicolor across the mountain's surface. Reaching Vinicunca requires a challenging trek through some of Peru's most remote and beautiful landscapes. The journey passes through traditional Andean communities where Quechua-speaking families still live much as their ancestors did centuries ago, herding llamas and alpacas across high-altitude grasslands. The final approach to the Rainbow Mountain involves hiking at an altitude where oxygen levels are about half of what they are at sea level, making every step a challenge. But the effort is rewarded with views that seem almost supernatural. The Rainbow Mountain rises like a painted backdrop against the deep blue sky, surrounded by snow-capped peaks and glacial valleys. On clear days, you can see the Ausangate Massif, one of Peru's most sacred mountains, creating a panorama that encompasses some of the most dramatic high-altitude scenery in the world. The mountain has become increasingly popular in recent years, but visiting still feels like discovering a secret that nature kept hidden for millennia. Deep in the remote wilderness of the Apurimac River Canyon lies Choquequirao, an Inca citadel that many archaeologists believe is even more spectacular than Machu Picchu. Built on a series of terraces carved into a steep mountain ridge at 3,050 meters above sea level, Choquequirao covers an area 3 times larger than its famous sister city, yet receives fewer than 30 visitors per day compared to Machu Picchu's 2,500. The name Choquequirao means cradle of gold in Quechua, and this remote citadel was likely one of the last refuges of Inca resistance against Spanish conquest. The site contains over 180 terraces, ceremonial plazas, residential areas, and a sophisticated water management system that still functions today. But what makes Choquequirao truly unique are the llama terraces, agricultural platforms decorated with white stone llamas that seem to graze eternally on the mountainside, visible only from specific vantage points. Reaching Choquequirao requires a challenging 4-day trek through some of Peru's most spectacular and unforgiving terrain. The trail descends nearly 1,500 meters into the Apurimac Canyon, crosses the river on a narrow suspension bridge, then climbs back up the opposite side through multiple climate zones. Trekkers experience everything from tropical vegetation along the river to high-altitude grasslands near the ruins, passing through landscapes that change dramatically with elevation. Only about 30% of Choquequirao has been excavated, meaning that most of this massive complex remains hidden under centuries of vegetation growth. Recent discoveries using ground-penetrating radar suggest that the site may be even larger than currently known, with entire sections still buried in the jungle. Plans for a cable car to make the site more accessible have been debated for years. But for now, Choquequirao remains one of Peru's most exclusive archaeological experiences, requiring serious commitment and physical fitness to reach. In the sacred valley of the Incas lies one of the most intriguing archaeological sites in Peru, Moray, a series of concentric circular terraces that descend into the earth like a massive amphitheater. But these aren't entertainment venues. They're sophisticated agricultural laboratories where Inca scientists conducted experiments that helped feed an empire spanning much of South America. The Moray terraces create multiple microclimates within a small area, with temperature differences of up to 15 degrees Celsius between the top and bottom levels. This temperature gradient allowed Inca agriculturalists to simulate growing conditions from different altitudes and regions, testing how crops would perform before introducing them to new areas of the empire. Each terrace level represents a different ecological zone, from high-altitude conditions at the top to warm, humid conditions at the bottom. Recent soil analysis has revealed that the Incas imported earth from different regions to fill each terrace level, creating optimal growing conditions for specific crops. They tested varieties of potatoes, quinoa, maize, and other Andean crops, developing the agricultural knowledge that allowed them to feed a population of over 10 million people across diverse geographical regions. The terraces also feature a sophisticated drainage system that prevents waterlogging while maintaining optimal soil moisture. What makes Moray even more remarkable is its astronomical alignment. The terraces are oriented to maximize sun exposure throughout the day and across seasons, with the circular design creating optimal growing conditions for the experimental crops. Some researchers believe the site also served as an astronomical observatory, with the terrace walls marking important celestial events that guided agricultural timing across the empire. In the heart of Peru's coastal desert lies Huacachina, a natural oasis that seems like a mirage made real. This tiny lagoon, surrounded by towering sand dunes that rise up to 120 meters high, is one of the few true desert oases in the Americas. Fed by underground springs, the lagoon has supported life in this harsh environment for centuries, creating a pocket of green vegetation in an otherwise barren landscape. The oasis covers less than 1 square kilometer, but its impact on the surrounding desert ecosystem is profound. Palm trees, huarango trees, and other vegetation create habitat for desert-adapted wildlife, including various bird species that use the oasis as a stopover during migration. The mineral-rich waters of the lagoon were once believed to have healing properties, attracting visitors from across Peru who came to bathe in its therapeutic waters. But Huacachina's most spectacular feature is the massive sand dunes that surround it. These dunes are constantly shifting and changing shape due to strong coastal winds, creating a dynamic landscape that's different every time you visit. The dunes have become a playground for sandboarding and dune buggy adventures, but they also serve as a natural laboratory for studying desert ecology and sand movement patterns. The contrast between the green oasis and the golden sand dunes creates one of Peru's most photogenic landscapes, especially at sunset when the dunes glow with warm light, while the oasis provides a cool, shaded refuge. Local legends tell of a beautiful princess whose tears created the lagoon, and whose spirit still protects this magical place in the desert. Off the coast of Paracas lie the Ballestas Islands, a group of rocky outcrops that harbor one of South America's most spectacular wildlife concentrations. Often called Peru's Galapagos, these islands are home to over 200,000 seabirds, thousands of sea lions, and the endangered Humboldt penguin, creating a wildlife spectacle that rivals anything found in more famous destinations. The island's unique ecosystem is supported by the Humboldt Current, which brings nutrient-rich waters from Antarctica along Peru's coast. This cold current creates ideal conditions for anchovies and other small fish, which in turn support massive populations of seabirds. The islands are covered in a thick layer of guano, bird droppings that have accumulated for thousands of years and once made Peru one of the world's wealthiest nations due to the guano trade in the 19th century. What makes the Ballestas Islands truly extraordinary is the sheer density of wildlife. Sea lions bask on every available rock surface, with dominant males defending territories while mothers nurse their pups just meters away from visitors' boats. Humboldt penguins, found nowhere else in the world except along this coast, nest in caves and crevices carved into the rocky cliffs. Pelicans, boobies, and cormorants fill the air in massive flocks that can darken the sky during feeding frenzies. The islands also feature dramatic geological formations carved by centuries of wave action. Natural arches, sea caves, and towering rock spires create a maze of channels and hidden coves where marine life thrives. The contrast between the barren, guano-covered rocks and the crystal-clear blue waters creates a stark beauty that's both harsh and magnificent. But perhaps the most mysterious feature near the Ballestas Islands is the Paracas Candelabra, a massive geoglyph carved into a hillside overlooking the bay. This 180-meter-tall figure, resembling a three-pronged candlestick or cactus, is visible from over 20 kilometers at sea. No one knows who created it or why, but theories range from a navigation aid for ancient mariners to a sacred symbol related to the Nazca Lines. The geoglyph has survived for centuries in this desert climate, adding another layer of mystery to this already extraordinary region. Deep in Peru's Amazon rainforest, at an altitude of 5,170 meters on the slopes of Mount Mismi, a small stream begins its journey that will eventually become the mighty Amazon River. This remote location in the Peruvian Andes marks the official source of the world's longest river, beginning a 6,400-kilometer journey to the Atlantic Ocean. But Peru's Amazon region holds wonders that go far beyond being the river's birthplace. The Peruvian Amazon covers 60% of the country's territory and contains some of the most biodiverse ecosystems on Earth. In a single hectare of rainforest, scientists have identified over 300 tree species, more than exist in all of North America. The region is home to over 1,800 bird species, 500 mammal species, and countless insects, many of which remain undiscovered by science. Pink river dolphins navigate the muddy waters, jaguars prowl the forest floor, and harpy eagles soar above the canopy in one of nature's most complex and interconnected ecosystems. But the Amazon's human heritage is equally remarkable. Indigenous communities have lived in harmony with this environment for thousands of years, developing sophisticated knowledge of medicinal plants, sustainable hunting and fishing practices, and complex social systems adapted to rainforest life. The Shipibo people create intricate geometric patterns in their textiles and pottery that mirror the visual hallucinations experienced during ayahuasca ceremonies, connecting their art directly to their spiritual relationship with the forest. Recent archaeological discoveries have revealed that the Amazon was once home to complex civilizations that modified vast areas of the rainforest through sophisticated agricultural techniques. These pre-Columbian societies created terra preta, incredibly fertile black soil that still supports agriculture today, and built extensive networks of raised fields, canals, and settlements that supported populations much larger than previously thought possible in the rainforest environment. Hidden in Peru's central Andes lies the Cordillera Huayhuash, a compact mountain range that many consider the most spectacular trekking destination in South America. This circular range, covering just 358 square kilometers, contains 6 peaks over 6,000 meters high, including Yurupaja at 6,617 meters, Peru's second highest mountain. What makes Huayhuash extraordinary isn't just the height of its peaks, but their dramatic knife-edge ridges and near-vertical faces that rise directly from turquoise alpine lakes. The complete circuit of the Cordillera Huayhuash is considered one of the world's most challenging and beautiful treks, requiring 8 to 12 days to complete and crossing multiple passes above 4,500 meters. Trekkers experience a constantly changing panorama of snow-capped peaks, glacial valleys, and pristine lakes that reflect the mountains like perfect mirrors. The range's compact size means that you're always surrounded by spectacular peaks, creating 360-degree views that rival anything found in the Himalayas. But what makes Huayhuash truly special is its pristine condition. Unlike more famous trekking destinations, this range sees fewer than 1,000 trekkers per year, meaning that the trails, campsites, and mountain communities remain largely unchanged by tourism. Local communities still practice traditional high-altitude agriculture, herding llamas and alpacas across grasslands that have been grazed for thousands of years. The range is also geologically fascinating, formed by volcanic activity and glacial carving that created some of the most dramatic mountain scenery on Earth. The peaks rise so abruptly from the surrounding plateau that they create their own weather systems, with conditions that can change from brilliant sunshine to blizzard conditions within hours. This challenging environment has preserved the range's wild character while creating an adventure that tests even experienced mountaineers and trekkers. On Peru's northern coast lies Chan Chan, the largest adobe city ever built, and the capital of the Chimu civilization that flourished from 900 to 1470 AD. This massive urban complex covers 20 square kilometers and once housed over 60,000 people, making it one of the largest cities in the pre-Columbian Americas. Built entirely from adobe bricks made from mud, sand, and straw, Chan Chan represents one of humanity's most impressive achievements in sustainable urban planning. The city is divided into 10 large rectangular compounds called ciudadelas, each serving as a palace complex for Chimu rulers. These compounds contain royal residences, administrative buildings, temples, workshops, and burial chambers, all connected by a maze of corridors, courtyards, and gardens. The walls are decorated with intricate friezes depicting fish, birds, waves, and geometric patterns that reflect the Chimu people's deep connection to the ocean and their sophisticated artistic traditions. What makes Chan Chan truly remarkable is its engineering. The city was built in one of the world's driest deserts, where rainfall averages less than 10 millimeters per year. The Chimu developed sophisticated irrigation systems that brought water from rivers over 50 kilometers away, creating gardens and agricultural areas within the city walls. They also developed techniques for making adobe bricks that could withstand earthquakes and the occasional heavy rains brought by El Niño events. The Chimu were master metal workers, creating gold and silver objects of extraordinary beauty and complexity. Their workshops in Chan Chan produced jewelry, ceremonial objects, and tools using techniques that weren't surpassed until the industrial age. Unfortunately, most of these treasures were looted by Spanish conquistadors, but recent archaeological discoveries continue to reveal the sophistication of Chimu craftsmanship. Today, Chan Chan faces constant threats from erosion, earthquakes, and climate change. But conservation efforts are working to preserve this unique testament to pre-Columbian urban civilization. Walking through its ancient corridors, you can still sense the grandeur of a city that once rivaled anything in Europe or Asia, built by a civilization that mastered life in one of Earth's most challenging environments. Beneath the desert surface near the famous Nazca Lines lies another engineering marvel that's equally impressive but far less known: the Nazca Aqueducts. This sophisticated underground water management system, called Puquios by local people, consists of over 40 aqueducts that still provide water to the region today, more than 1,500 years after their construction. The aqueducts represent a masterpiece of hydraulic engineering, adapted to one of the world's driest environments. The Nazca people identified underground water sources in the foothills of the Andes, then built underground channels that could transport this water across dozens of kilometers to their cities and agricultural areas. The channels follow the natural contours of the land, maintaining a precise gradient that allows water to flow by gravity alone. What makes the Puquios truly extraordinary is their construction technique. The Nazca built spiral-shaped access holes called ojos, eyes, that allow air to enter the underground channels and provide access for maintenance. These spiral ramps descend 10 to 15 meters underground, lined with stone walls that have remained stable for over a millennium. The engineering precision required to maintain proper water flow across such distances, using only simple tools and mathematical knowledge, rivals modern hydraulic projects. The aqueducts enabled the Nazca civilization to thrive in a desert environment where surface water is virtually non-existent. They supported a population of tens of thousands of people and allowed for intensive agriculture that produced cotton, beans, potatoes, and other crops in the middle of the desert. The system was so well designed that many of the aqueducts continue to function today, providing water for modern communities and agriculture. Recent studies using satellite imagery and ground-penetrating radar have revealed that the aqueduct system is even more extensive than previously known, with some channels extending over 100 kilometers from their mountain sources to the coast. This discovery suggests that the Nazca people created one of the most sophisticated water management systems in the ancient world, allowing them to transform a harsh desert into a thriving agricultural civilization. As we reach the end of our journey through Peru's hidden wonders, it becomes clear that Machu Picchu, magnificent as it is, represents just a single chapter in a story that spans thousands of years and encompasses achievements that continue to challenge our understanding of what ancient civilizations could accomplish. From the floating islands of Lake Titicaca to the impossible precision of Sacsayhuamán, from the mysterious Nazca Lines to the sophisticated aqueducts that still flow beneath the desert, Peru reveals itself as a country where human ingenuity and natural beauty have combined to create wonders that rival anything on Earth. What strikes me most about these hidden treasures is how they demonstrate the incredible adaptability and creativity of Peru's ancient peoples. They built cities in clouds, created art visible only from the sky, engineered water systems in the desert, and developed agricultural techniques that fed millions across diverse and challenging environments. These weren't primitive societies struggling to survive. They were sophisticated civilizations that achieved things we're still trying to understand today. In our modern world of instant communication and global connectivity, there's something profoundly moving about discovering places that have remained hidden for centuries, waiting patiently for us to appreciate their beauty and understand their significance. Peru's hidden wonders remind us that our planet still holds countless secrets and that the greatest adventures often lie not in the most famous destinations, but in the places that require effort, curiosity, and respect to reach. Perhaps most importantly, these sites teach us about the deep connection between human culture and the natural environment. Every wonder we've explored today represents a civilization that learned to work with their landscape rather than against it, creating sustainable solutions that lasted for centuries. As we face our own environmental challenges, there's wisdom to be found in these ancient achievements, lessons about living in harmony with nature while still reaching for greatness. Peru's hidden treasures are more than just tourist destinations. They're windows into human potential, reminders of what we can achieve when we combine creativity, determination, and respect for the world around us. They challenge us to look beyond the obvious to seek out the stories that haven't been told, and to appreciate the incredible diversity of human experience that our planet has nurtured throughout history. The next time you think about Peru, remember that Machu Picchu is just the beginning. Beyond that famous citadel lies a country filled with wonders that will challenge your assumptions, inspire your imagination, and remind you that our world is far more extraordinary than we often realize. These hidden treasures are waiting for those brave enough to seek them out, patient enough to appreciate their stories, and wise enough to understand their lessons for our modern world.